In terms of the fourth quarter, they had all but one of their buckets was inside the paint. Was that them just being able to get into the paint?
The Indiana Fever's 89-87 loss to the Los Angeles Sparks in the fourth quarter at Gainbridge Fieldhouse was not just another defeat in a long WNBA season. It was a microcosm of the frustrations that have defined the Fever's 2025 campaign, a perfect storm of missed opportunities, questionable officiating, and the absence of their star player, Caitlin Clark. The game, which saw the Fever squander a late lead, highlighted their persistent struggles with late-game execution and exposed the ongoing officiating inconsistencies that have plagued the team throughout the season. For head coach Stephanie White, the loss was yet another chapter in a season-long battle against what she perceives as unfair treatment from WNBA officials, a fight that has already cost her financially and emotionally but shows no signs of abating. The game itself was a gritty, physical affair, with the Fever dominating inside the paint for much of the night. All but one of their buckets in the fourth quarter came from close range, a testament to their ability to attack the rim and exploit the Sparks' defense. Aaliyah Boston led the charge with 23 points and 12 rebounds, showcasing the physicality and dominance that have made her a cornerstone of the Fever's roster. Natasha Howard complemented Boston's performance with 21 points and 9 rebounds, while Kelsey Mitchell added 19 points, reaching a significant milestone by hitting her 600th career three-pointer and surpassing Fever assistant coach Brienne January for the second most games played in franchise history. These individual efforts, however, were overshadowed by the team's inability to close out the game, a recurring issue that has haunted the Fever throughout the season. With just 1 minute and 43 seconds remaining, the Fever held an 87-83 lead, seemingly poised to secure their first three-game winning streak of the season. The momentum was theirs, built on the back of impressive victories over the Dallas Wings, Minnesota Lynx, and Las Vegas Aces. Without Caitlin Clark, sidelined for her fifth consecutive game with a groin injury, the Fever had shown resilience and depth, culminating in a stunning Commissioner's Cup championship win over the Lynx. But against the Sparks, that momentum evaporated in the final moments. The Fever missed their final 5 shots, allowing the Sparks to close the game on a devastating 6-0 run. The loss was a painful reminder of the team's struggles with crunch-time execution and their vulnerability without their superstar guard. The absence of Caitlin Clark loomed large over the game. Clark, the face of the franchise and the WNBA's biggest draw, has been a transformative presence for the Fever, averaging 19 points, 9.3 assists, and 6 rebounds before her injury. Her impact extends beyond statistics. Her presence on the court changes how opponents defend, how officials call games, and how the Fever execute in critical moments. Without her, the Fever have struggled to maintain consistency, particularly against teams like the Sparks, who, despite their position at the bottom of the WNBA standings, have historically matched up well against Indiana. The loss to the Sparks marked the second time this season the Fever fell to Los Angeles without Clark in the lineup, a stark contrast to their earlier dominance over the same team when Clark was healthy. The game was further marred by officiating controversies that have become all too familiar for Fever fans. The most glaring incident occurred in the fourth quarter when Kelsey Plum, the Sparks' dynamic guard, made aggressive contact with Fever forward Lexi Hull during a defensive sequence. As the Fever attempted to trap Plum, she collided with Hull, knocking her to the ground. What followed was a moment that encapsulated the officiating double standards that have frustrated Stephanie White all season. Plum, visibly irritated and accusing Hull of flopping, stepped over her fallen opponent in a display of disrespect that many felt warranted a technical foul or ejection. Instead, the officials called a jump ball, allowing play to continue without penalty. Plum was later caught on camera yelling at the officials, but faced no consequences for her outburst or her physical aggression toward Hull. This incident was not an isolated one, but rather the latest in a documented pattern of unfavorable officiating against the Fever. Throughout the 2025 season, Stephanie White has been forced to burn timeouts and challenges on calls so blatantly incorrect that they bordered on absurd. Earlier in the season, White was fined by the WNBA for publicly criticizing officiating after controversial losses to the New York Liberty and Washington Mystics. Her comments about the egregious treatment of her team and the unbelievable disrespect from officials reflected a frustration shared by players, coaches, and fans alike. The Fever have consistently faced a disproportionate number of questionable calls, with obvious contact against their players ignored while phantom fouls are called against them. This pattern has left White with little choice but to expend her challenges early in games, leaving the team vulnerable in late-game situations. The officiating inconsistencies were particularly evident in how physical play has been handled. When Fever guard Sophie Cunningham gets into altercations while defending her teammates, she often faces ejections or fines. Yet, when opposing players target Fever stars with aggressive play, they frequently escape with minimal consequences. Cunningham has become a folk hero among Fever fans for her willingness to stand up for her teammates, particularly during a heated altercation with the Connecticut Sun earlier in the season. Her jersey sales skyrocketed after the incident, and she gained a significant following on social media for her loyalty and tenacity. In Saturday's game against the Sparks, Cunningham was involved in another physical moment, this time with Julie Van Loo during a scramble for a loose ball. Van Loo appeared to grab Cunningham around the neck, but both players diffused the situation with maturity, walking away with smiles. Cunningham's ability to handle such moments with composure speaks to her character and her understanding of competitive basketball. The Fever's struggles with officiating are symptomatic of a broader issue within the WNBA. Coaches and players across the league have voiced similar concerns about inconsistent officiating, but the Fever's case is particularly egregious due to the documented pattern of unfavorable calls and the treatment of their star player. In the 2024 season, Caitlin Clark led the league with 6 of the 34 total flagrant fouls committed against her, accounting for nearly 18% of all such fouls. This statistic underscores the physical targeting she has endured, often without adequate protection from officials. When coaches are forced to waste challenges on obviously incorrect calls, when star players are targeted without consequences, and when games are decided by inconsistent standards, the league's credibility suffers. Stephanie White's frustration with WNBA officiating has been building throughout the season, and the loss to the Sparks pushed her to the brink of another public outcry. While she was more measured in her post-game comments compared to earlier in the season, her underlying tension was unmistakable. White has repeatedly called for consistency in officiating, particularly when it comes to protecting players and calling fouls fairly. Her earlier fine for criticizing officials came after she sarcastically asked reporters, "Do you want me to get fined again?" Because I did just get fined. Her willingness to continue advocating for her team, despite financial penalties, demonstrates her commitment to her players and her belief that the game has evolved faster than the officiating. White's advocacy is rooted in her observation that the WNBA's officiating problems are not unique to the Fever, but are a league-wide issue. She has noted that despite raising concerns at league meetings in the fall and spring, little has changed. Her assessment that bad officiating is bad officiating has resonated with fans and media who have witnessed similar inconsistencies across the league. The Fever's case, however, is amplified by their status as a team with a high-profile star in Caitlin Clark and the pressure of elevated expectations. The loss to the Sparks, a team with one of the worst records in the WNBA, underscored the Fever's struggles to beat teams they should defeat, particularly without Clark in the lineup. The absence of Caitlin Clark has exposed both the depth and limitations of the Fever's roster. While they managed to string together 3 impressive wins without her, including defensive masterpieces against the Lynx and Aces, the loss to the Sparks revealed their ongoing issues with late-game execution. Clark's injury, a lingering groin issue, has been handled with caution by White and her coaching staff, who prioritize her long-term health over a premature return. The timing of the injury is particularly frustrating, as it came just as the Fever were building momentum. Her presence on the court not only elevates the team's performance, but also influences how games are officiated and how opponents approach their defense. The Fever's season has been defined by resilience in the face of adversity, from injuries to key players to inconsistent officiating and the pressure of high expectations. While the loss to the Sparks was disappointing, it also highlighted the team's potential when fully healthy. Aaliyah Boston's continued dominance, Kelsey Mitchell's scoring prowess, and Sophie Cunningham's tenacity are all signs of a team capable of competing at the highest level. However, without consistent officiating and the return of Caitlin Clark, their full potential remains out of reach.